Gold, baby! Welcome to the Healer Proving Grounds Gold Guide. This is PTR, so some of it might have changed when it comes live. Let's dive right in. For this fight, I rolled the Disc Priest for the first time, and it was fantastic! The add-on I used to heal is Healbot, and you will find a link to a guide in the description. Make no mistake, Proving Grounds is incredibly challenging and should be good training for any healer, though completing it is hard. Keep in mind, all gear is scaled down to 463 item level. Some gear seems to scale down really badly, so watch out for that, and also check your reforging, as you may need to redo it for 463 eye level. The best way to see it is to just enter the Proving Grounds and use the Reforge Master there, as while in the area you will have the scaled down gear and be able to see what's what. Using flasks and food is very helpful and probably necessary, though potions are currently not usable. Check this though, because it may have changed, in which case you will want mana potions. Also make sure to grab some health stones from the soul well. For this challenge you must heal 3 really stupid DPS and a tank who refuses to use cooldowns, as well as yourself. If anyone reaches death, you lose. The extent of the DPS's stupidity will be revealed in time. Let me preface this guide by saying that while making the party members talk is great, hearing Sully get out of the fire, huh? Oh, 5 times within the span of 5 seconds tends toward being annoying. I recommend listening to music and possibly muting in-game sound for this fight. Now this fight is all about mana. If you go before the last 5 seconds of the fight, it's going to be really hard to recover. I used my absolute cheapest heal for the whole of the first wave, and then on the second I started using my mana cooldowns. I added them to tell me when, so I could use them as soon as they were ready. Yes, it's that bad. Do not use expensive heals unless you absolutely have to. All that being said, I gemmed for some intellect because I found the extra output really helpful on the final wave. Try to use cooldowns often to help reduce the amount of mana you have to spend, though you will want all your CDs ready for the final wave. I used Hymn of Hope for the mana regen twice in the fight, once really early on so that it would be off cooldown just before the final wave, and again as soon as I had a moment where I could channel it without worrying about people dying. Let's go through the enemies. Ripper's just melee attack, though it may take the tank a bit of time to get aggro, they do not do very much damage and should not be hard to heal through. Flame Callers channel a cast that creates puddles of fire and cast Fireball and Pyroblast at you. Your group does interrupt his moves every so often, though when fire is created the hunter will stand in it until told to move, at which point he will disengage out of it and proceed to walk forward into the same fire puddle again. Like I said, you will want to mute your sound. The fire puddles deal damage and apply a stacking debuff, so get ready to heal Sully and the mage a lot. The tank doesn't tend to stand in it much, and the rogue goes where he goes, so it's usually just the mage and the hunter who get hurt by it. Hive Singers deal a medium amount of AoE damage, which can be interrupted, and again your DPS will interrupt it sometimes, but be prepared to AoE heal. The Aqualites will be a constant thorn in your side and will put Aqua Bomb on random players. This needs to be dispelled before its timer runs out, or it will explode, dealing massive AoE damage to the entire party. You do not want to have to heal that damage, and later on in the fight it will probably mean instant death, so have your dispels ready. If you use Healbot, check the description for the guide that I will make detailing how to add that to your bars. It really helps to see that debuff. The little rat rabbit vermin thing is called a tunneler. He burrows under the ground and pops out near a random player and puts a heavy dot on them, which can only be taken off by healing the person to full health. That said, don't pump heals into them unless you have to. Try to use lower cost mana spells if possible. Conquerors look like Mogu. These hit pretty hard and you may have to pump heals into yourself while the tank gets aggro, because they will probably go after you first. When the Mogu uses Enrage, they hit the tank even harder, so you may need to use a cooldown. Enrage is a cast, but it's easiest to look at the size of the Mogu. Coffee shop size is normal and Empire State Building size means it's used Enrage. For positioning, it's up to you, but I found the center of the room to be about right all the time. As soon as my mana started to dip, I used my mana cooldowns, and then used them again as soon as they came off cooldown every single time. I used some of my other cooldowns earlier on in the fight, always making sure to have them ready for wave 10. Given that wave 10 is by far the toughest wave, I'll go through exactly what I did to help out Discipline Priests, and so that other classes can apply the same thinking to their own class. Just before wave 10 starts, I heal everyone to full health and use my Hymn for mana. I will also use all my other mana cooldowns as soon as they're ready. I then use Spirit Shell, which makes my heals create absorb shields instead of actually healing as soon as the new ads spawn. With this cooldown up, I also use Power Infusion, which lowers the mana cost of my moves and increases my cast speed, so I can pump out more spells and thereby a larger absorption shield. I'm stacking this up because I know the Conquerors will enrage and do unhealable damage to the tank, so I'm stacking up the absorbs in advance, and I'll also put my hots on the tank as well. I then use Inner Focus, which makes my next heal a definite crit and reduces the mana cost, giving me a big heal on the tank. I am also immediately healing up anybody with a debuff to dispel it. I then run in and use my power word Barrier, which reduces the damage everyone inside it takes, so I try and get as many inside its effect as I can. The main reason I used it was to keep the tank's incoming damage within healable levels. I also use Pain Suppression on the tank as well to help reduce his incoming damage, which means I have less to heal. I'm still dispelling the Aqua Bomb as soon as I see it. A detonation will mean a failed attempt at this stage. Some more ads come in, I use some AoE healing to get the group up a bit, and then I focus on the tank, and only the tank, because I have almost no mana at all. I even run out of mana and start bandaging the tank. I got interrupted after about one tick, but that one tick could have been all I needed. I'm still using my cooldowns as soon as they're ready, and I'm actually pressing the button for my mana cooldown before it's ready, so that as soon as it comes up, I can have some mana. The group is taking more damage, so I heal the tank up a bit, and then put a single heal over time effect on each party member to keep their health up a bit, while still focusing almost entirely on the tank. I use a cooldown that instantly heals me and costs no mana once it's off its 2-minute cooldown, rather than use any mana to heal myself. The damage the tank takes drops off a bit, so I heal some others and then go back to the tank, and only the tank when the Conqueror enrages. I'm a bit annoyed at myself for not using the move that swaps the tank's percentage with my own, but I didn't think of it at the time. The main thing I wanted to point out to you is that you need to use every single cooldown you have, especially for Wave 10, in order to be able to complete this challenge. A few last tips for you. You can CC any of the mobs, though I didn't bother to do so. While in Rage, the Conquerors are immune to all CC, and they can cast Enrage while CC'd to break out of it as well. If you stick around, I'll show you some of the NPCs being a bit silly, but if not, thanks for watching. Please click that like button and post a comment, as it really helps. And of course, subscribe for more videos. Now, let's look at the NPCs being idiots, shall we? Okay, so for the first one, it isn't the NPCs being stupid, it's WoW deciding that maybe I'd like to log out right now. You know, right in the middle of this fight. Perhaps I feel like playing my druid. I'm sure it had something to do with it being the PTR. Doesn't make it less annoying, though, not to mention that when I logged back in, I was in Twin Moons. Next up, we have it bugging where Sully is told to move from the fire. So he does. And then he's told again, so he disengages again, even though he isn't actually in the fire. Then we have the game bugging out and not actually putting me in a party with them, so I don't even bother trying to heal them. And finally, for the last two, I unfortunately can't find the footage, but I'll tell you what happened anyway. A fire puddle landed on the hunter, so he disengaged, but was then out of range of the mobs. So he walked forward into the same fire puddle and disengaged again. The puddle eventually despawned and he stopped. The only time I've seen a tank being silly was when there were two mobs attacking us. One was on me and the other was on the rogue, pretty much opposite sides of the room. The tank then walked back and forth between the two of us, but never actually getting anywhere, just pacing up and down between us. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I shall see you in future videos. Cheerio.